The Hmong are an ethnic group from the mountainous regions of China, Vietnam, Laos, and Thailand. Hmong are also one of the subgroups of the Miao ethnicity in southern China. Hmong groups began a gradual southward migration in the 18th century due to political unrest and to find more arable land. During the First and Second Indochina Wars, France and the United States recruited thousands of Hmong people in Laos to fight against forces from North and South Vietnam and Communist Pathet Lao insurgents, known as the Secret War, during the Vietnam War and the Laotian Civil War. Following the war, hundreds of thousands of Hmong refugees fled to Thailand seeking political asylum. Thousands of these refugees have resettled in Western countries since the late 1970s, mostly in the city of Merced, California in the United States, but also in Australia, France, French Guiana, Canada, and Argentina. Others have returned to Laos under United Nations-sponsored repatriation programs. Subcultures. Hmong people have their own terms for the subcultural divisions. Hmong Dare and Hmong Leng are the terms for two of the largest groups in the United States and Southeast Asia. In the Romanized popular alphabet, developed in the 1950s in Laos, these terms are written Mub Dawb and Mub League Mub Ntsuab. The final consonants indicate with which of the 8 lexical tones the word is pronounced. White Hmong and Green Hmong speak mutually intelligible dialects of the Hmong language, with some differences in pronunciation and vocabulary. One of the most characteristic differences is the use of the voiceless p meter in White Hmong, indicated by a preceding h in Romanized popular alphabet. Voiceless nasals are not found in the Green Hmong dialect. Hmong groups are often named after the dominant colors or patterns of the traditional clothing, style of headdress, or the provinces from which they come. Laos. The Hmong groups in Laos, for the 18th century to the present day, are known as Black Hmong, Striped Hmong, White Hmong, and Green Hmong. In other places in Asia, groups are also known as Black Hmong, Striped Hmong, Hmong Shi, Hmong Pi, Hmong Pua, and Hmong Zai, Hmong Xa and H, Hmong Du, Miao, and various other subgroups. These include the Flower Hmong and the Variegated Hmong, so named because of the bright, colorful embroidery. Thailand. Many Hmong people migrated from Laos to Thailand following the victory of the Pathet Lao in the late 1970s, while some ended up in refugee camps. Others settled in mountainous areas, becoming one of the ethnic groups in Thailand referred to as hill tribes in that country, China, since 1949. Miao has been an official term for one of the 55 official minority groups recognized by the government of the People's Republic of China. The Miao live mainly in southern China, in the provinces of Guizhou, Hunan, Yunnan, Sichuan, Guangxi, Hainan, Guangdong, Hubei, and elsewhere in China. According to the 2000 censuses, the number of Miao in China was estimated to be about 9.6 million. The Miao nationality includes Hmong people as well as other culturally and linguistically related ethnic groups who do not call themselves Hmong. These include the Hmu, Khojong, and Ahmao. The White Miao and Green Miao are Hmong groups. Usage of the term Miao in Chinese documents dates back to the Shiji and the Zhongguo CE. During this time, it was generally applied to people of the southern regions thought to be descendants of the San Miao kingdom. The term does not appear again until the Ming dynasty, by which time it had taken on the connotation of barbarian, interchangeable with Man and Yi. It was used to refer to the indigenous people of the southwestern frontier who refused to submit to imperial rule. During this time, references to raw and cooked Miao appear, referring to level of assimilation and political cooperation of the two groups. Not until the Qing dynasty do more finely grained distinctions classifications appear in writing. Even then, discerning which ethnic groups are included in various classifications can be problematic. This inconsistent usage of Miao makes it difficult to say for sure if Hmong and Hmong people are always included in these historical writings. Linguistic evidence, however, places Hmong and Hmong people in the same regions of southern China that they inhabit today for at least the past 2,000 years. By the mid-18th century, classifications become specific enough that it is easier to identify references to Hmong and Hmong people. Nomenclature. In Southeast Asia, Hmong people are referred to by other names, including Vietnamese, Miao or Hmong, Lao or Thai or Burmese. The xenonym Miao and variants thereof are considered highly derogatory by many Hmong people and are infrequently used today outside of Southeast Asia. Hmong controversy. When Western authors came in contact with Hmong people, beginning in the 18th century, they referred to them in writing by ethnonyms assigned by the Chinese. This practice continued into the 20th century. Even ethnographers studying the Hmong people in Southeast Asia often referred to them as Miao, a corruption of Miao applied by Pathet Lao people to the Hmong. Although Miao was an official term, it was often used as an insult against Hmong people and it is considered to be highly derogatory. The issue came to a head during the passage of California State Assembly Bill 78 in the 2003-2004 season, introduced by Duavu and Assembly member Sarah Reyes, District 31. The bill encouraged changes in secondary education curriculum to include information about the Secret War and the role of Hmong people in the war. Furthermore, the bill called for the use of oral histories and first-hand accounts from Hmong people who had participated in the war and who were caught up in the aftermath. Originally, the language of the bill mentioned only Hmong people, intending to include the entire community. A number of Hmong Leng activists, led by Dr. Pathet Lao, drew attention to the problems associated with omitting Hmong from the language of the bill. They noted that despite nearly equal numbers of Hmong Dare and Hmong Leng in the United States, resources are disproportionately directed toward the Hmong Dare community. This includes not only scholarly research but also the translation of materials, potentially including curriculum proposed by the bill. Despite these arguments, Hmong was not added to the bill. In the version that passed the Assembly, Hmong was replaced by Southeast Asians, a more broadly inclusive term. Dr. Pathet Lao and some others feel strongly that Hmong can refer to only Hmong Dare people and does not include Hmong Leng people. He feels that the usage of Hmong in reference to both groups perpetuates the marginalization of Hmong Leng language and culture. Thus, he advocates the usage of both Hmong and Hmong when referring to the entire ethnic group. Other scholars, including anthropologist Gary Yearley, suggest that Hmong has been used for the past 30 years to refer to the entire community and that the inclusion of Hmong Leng people is understood. Some argue that such distinctions create unnecessary divisions within the global community and will only confuse non-Hmong and Hmong people trying to learn more about Hmong and Hmong history and culture. As a compromise alternative, the ethnologist Jacques Lemoine has begun to use the term Hmong when referring to the entirety of the Hmong and Hmong community. Hmong and Miao. Some non-Chinese Hmong advocate that the term Hmong be used not only for designating the dialect group, but also for the other Miao groups living in China. They generally claim that the word Miao or Miao is a derogatory term, with connotations of barbarism, that probably should not be used at all. The term was later adapted by Thai-speaking groups in Southeast Asia, where it took on especially insulting associations for Hmong people despite its official status. In modern China, the term Miao does not carry these negative associations associations and people of the various subgroups that constitute this officially recognized nationality freely identify themselves as Miao Chinese, typically reserving more specific ethnonyms for intra-ethnic communication. During the struggle for political recognition after 1949, it was actually members of these ethnic minorities who campaigned for identification under the umbrella term Miao, taking advantage of its familiarity and associations of historical political oppression. Contemporary transnational interactions between Hmong in the West and Miao groups in China, following the 1975 Hmong diaspora, have led to the development of a global Hmong identity that includes linguistically and culturally related minorities in China that previously had no ethnic affiliation. Scholarly and commercial exchanges, increasingly communicated via the Internet, have also resulted in an exchange of terminology, including HMU and AHMAO people identifying as Hmong and, to a lesser extent, Hmong people accepting the designation Miao within the context of China. Such realignments of identity, while largely the concern of economically elite community leaders, reflect a trend towards the interchangeability of the terms Hmong and Miao. History. The Hmong claim and origin in the Yellow River region of China. According to Rattler, there is linguistic evidence to suggest that they have occupied some of the same areas of southern China for at least the past 2,000 years. Evidence from mitochondrial DNA in Hmong mean-speaking populations supports the southern origins of maternal lineages even further back in time. Although Hmong-speaking populations show more contact with Han than Min populations, Chinese sources describe that area being inhabited by Miao people, a group with whom Hmong people are often identified. The ancient town of Juolu is considered to be the legendary birthplace of the Miao. Today, a statue of Kaiyu, widely proclaimed as the first Hmong king, has been erected in the town. The Guoyu book considers Kaiyu's Jui tribe to be related to the ancient ancestors of the Hmong, the San Miao people. In 2011, white Hmong DNA was sampled and found to contain 7.84% DM15 and 6% nDNA. The researchers posited a genetic relationship between Hmong Min peoples and Mon Khmer people groups dating to the last glacial maximum, approximately 15–18,000 years before present. Although the term Miao is used today by the Chinese government to denote a group of linguistically and culturally related people, it has been used inconsistently in the past. Throughout the history of China, the term was applied to a variety of peoples considered to be marginal to Han society. Christian Cullers and Jean Michaud note, in all these early accounts, then, until roughly the middle of the 19th century, there is perpetual confusion about the exact identity of the population groups designated by the term Miao. We should therefore be cautious with respect to the historical value of any early associations. Nevertheless, the Hmong and Miao of China today believe they are one people with cultural and linguistic affiliations that transcend oceans and national boundaries. The educated elites of the two groups maintain close transnational contacts with one another. Conflict between the Miao of southern China and newly arrived Han settlers increased during the 18th century under repressive economic and cultural reforms imposed by the Qing dynasty. This led to armed conflict and large-scale migrations well into the late 19th century, the period during which most Hmong people emigrated to Southeast Asia. The migration process had begun as early as the late 17th century, however, before the time of major social unrest, when small groups went in search of better agricultural opportunities. The Hmong people have been subjected to abuse and killing by the Qing dynasty government. Kim Lacey Rogers wrote, In the 18th and 19th centuries, while the Hmong lived in southwestern China, the Manchu overlords had labeled them Miao and targeted them for genocide when they defied being humiliated, oppressed, and enslaved. Han Chinese origin Hmong clans. A great number of Miao Hmong lineage clans were founded by Chinese men who married Hmong women. These distinct Chinese-descended clans practiced Chinese burial customs instead of Hmong-style burials. The Hmong children of Hmong women who married Chinese men was the origin of numerous China and Southeast Asia-based Hmong lineages and clans. These were called Chinese Hmong in Sichuan. The Hmong were instructed in military tactics by fugitive Chinese rebels. Marriages between Hmong women and Han Chinese men is the origin of a lot of Hmong lineages and clans. Hmong women married Han Chinese men to found new Hmong lineages which used Chinese names. Chinese men who married into Hmong clans have established more Hmong clans than the ritual 12. Chinese surname groups are comparable to the Hmong clans which are patrilineal and practice exogamy. Hmong women married Han Chinese men who pacified our rebels who were fighting against the Ming dynasty, and founded the Wang clan among the Hmong in Gongshan County of Sichuan's Yiban district. Hmong women who married Chinese men founded a new Zam clan in a Hmong village. 50 years later in Chiang Mai, 2 of the Hmong boy descendants were Catholics. A Hmong woman and a Chinese man married and founded the Lao clan in northern Thailand. A marriage between a Hmong woman and a Chinese man resulted in northern Thailand's Lao Tu clan being founded. Another Han Chinese with the family name Deng founded another Hmong clan. Han Chinese men's marriages with Hmong women has led some ethnographers to conclude that Hmong clans in the modern era have possible or partly have been founded in this matter. Jiangxi Han Chinese are claimed as the forefathers of the Southeast Gaizhou Miao, and Miao children were born to the many Miao women married Han Chinese soldiers in Taijiang in Gaizhou before the second half of the 19th century. Imperially commissioned Han Chinese chieftaincies, gone native with the Miao and were the ancestors of a part of the Miao population in Gaizhou. The Hmong Tian clan in Saizhou began in the 7th century as a migrant Han Chinese clan. Non-Han women such as Miao women became wives of Han Chinese male soldiers who fought against the Miao rebellions during the Qing and Ming dynasties. Since Han women were not available, the Ming dynasty Honggu emperor sent troops to Gaizhou whose descendants became the Tunbao. The origin of the Tunbao people traces back to when the Ming dynasty sent 300,000 Han Chinese male soldiers in 1381 to conquer Yunnan, and the men married Lao and Miao women. The presence of women presiding over weddings was a feature noted in Southeast Asian marriages, such as in 1667 when a Miao woman in Yunnan married a Chinese official. Some Sinicization occurred. In Yunnan, a Miao chief's daughter married a scholar in the 1600s who wrote that she could read, write, and listen in Chinese and read Chinese classics. The Sichuan Hmong village of Wangwu was visited by Nicholas Tapp, who wrote that the clan ancestral origin legend of the Wang Hmong clan had said that several times they were married into be a Han Chinese, and possibly one of these was their ancestor Wang Wu. There were 2 types of Hmong: cooked, who sided with Chinese, and raw, who rebelled against the Chinese. The Chinese were supported by the Wang Hmong clan. A Hmong woman was married by the non-Hmong Wang Wu according to the story of the Ha Kings in Wangwu village.